In this video, I'm going to show you what it's really like being a Skillshare teacher. So if you've considered it, you'll kind of know what you're getting yourself into, the pros and cons, and some suggestions that I would have for you if you're getting started as a Skillshare teacher. So let's dive in. Hi, I'm Laney. I'm a wedding invitation designer, and I love to teach people how to design invitations and run successful businesses. I started teaching on Skillshare about 4 years ago, and I have a referral link in the description that you can use to watch any of my classes for like a 2-week free trial or so. When I joined Skillshare, and yes, I will show you exactly what I've earned in the past 4 years from them, they had a different situation for paying out revenue. So all of the minutes that were watched were paid. You also got paid on referrals, and there was I think 2-month free trial or even 1-month free trial for pretty much anyone, and you got paid out on all of those free trials, even if the person never ended up purchasing a subscription to Skillshare. So it was really easy to share all of our classes and get paid even if someone didn't end up paying on Skillshare. A couple times since I joined, they have reevaluated the payment structure, however, and made some major changes that make it a little bit different. So I'll show you how that works first. So when you're teaching, the first thing to do is understand how they're calculating your earnings. And your earnings are based on the Skillshare Teacher Fund, which is an amount that's kind of left over of all of their membership fees. So for instance, in May, that's going to be about 950,000 US dollars, which sounds like so much. I was actually really surprised to see how much this is. And then you're paid out on it based on minutes watched, but those minutes watched also factor in if the member is using a free trial or if they're on a paid subscription and things like that. So this is the major change that happened over the last couple years that changed how I was getting paid. So you're mostly only getting paid now if someone is on a paid subscription, because in this exception section, trailer minutes don't count, and the minutes watched by students through a free access link or during a free trial do not count toward your payment. So any of those minutes watched just don't really count anymore, and you only get credit for the paid subscriptions. You also must accrue a minimum of 75 minutes watched for a month in order to receive a payment for that month. There are a lot of other things here that you can check out in their teacher help section. Now, what are some of the benefits of teaching on Skillshare? You can grow your community here. There are people already searching who are not already in your community, so they might find you here, and then they could find you in other places. They could watch all of your classes here on Skillshare, and they could come and buy other products that you have off of Skillshare or join your community otherwise. So it's a great kind of launch pad for growing your community. It also could be your entire community. There are definitely creators who have tons of classes on here and make a lot of revenue just from Skillshare. Another benefit is that they host everything for you and they have that built-in audience. So you don't have to worry about like, where am I going to host these? How am I going to offer the access to the students who pay? You don't necessarily have to set pricing per course and things like that. So I think it's a great option for people who want to teach this style of course and teach a lot of them and really grow their community in this place. If you have interest in doing larger, bigger courses and things like that, then some of these smaller courses might be better used on your website as like a freebie or an opt-in or a lower offer in order to jump them to your larger offer eventually. I don't feel like there are a lot of people finding me on Skillshare and then coming to my other offerings. I think it's possible, and I think if I had more classes here on Skillshare, then that is possible. But I do feel like most of my engagement on Skillshare has been me driving my current audience over to Skillshare for these classes. And I am not someone who's taught like a ton of classes. I have these 4 classes, one that has been closed and then one that I'm about to launch soon. I think it's a great place to put classes that you already have that automatically fit the Skillshare style of class as well. If you already have them, you might as well kind of put them up here and make a little bit extra money. I love doing more with the things I've already done. So I do like that aspect of it. And a couple of these courses are in other places as well. Here's an example of someone, Bonnie Christine. She's a wonderful surface pattern designer. She has a lot of different ways you can learn from her, but Skillshare is one of them. And so her classes, she has quite a few more of them. And then they have like in the thousands of students. This one has 18,000, 17,000, 10,000 students. So you'll see that's very different from my classes where I have like 600, 700 students in these. Bonnie has really curated her Skillshare presence and she sends out a lot of updates and new classes fairly often. And these are some of the best practices that they recommend if you're going to try and be really successful here on Skillshare. So what does the Skillshare course look like? They have a very specific structure that you need to follow. So you need to have an introduction that people can view to see if they want to take your class. It tells them everything about the class, what they need, what level it is. And then you also have a class project that's going to be at the end. So every course has to kind of start and end with this class project idea that someone could upload below, send, upload pictures of, share, that kind of thing. So we've got a couple of them here based on my No More Boring Envelopes class here. This class is 18 minutes. You can see like some of Bonnie's are an hour and 20 minutes, 21 minutes, 47 minutes. They vary a lot. Longer classes are of course going to result in more watch time, more minutes that you can get paid for. And they like to, there is a minimum amount of time that the courses have to be. I forget exactly what it is right now. I think it's 10 minutes. So the courses need to be a little bit longer and they have to focus around a specific class project at the end. And then each of your videos needs to be, you know, a reasonable amount of time compared to the rest. And you're only allowed to introduce any or like link out to any other resources or mentioning anything outside of Skillshare in the introduction and the final videos. One thing that I actually got kind of dinged on at one point was in my envelope printing course, I put my logo on the bottom and you're not even allowed to do that. So you have to be sure you follow all the rules and instructions very, very clearly. All of them need to have a specific kind of end goal project. So it can't be a very generic kind of course. This Dubsado one is actually kind of on the border of generic, but I made the class project to map out your process flow and set up some forms in Dubsado. So if I'm doing a course that I also want to upload to Skillshare eventually, I'm going to film a different intro and different outro for that course just for Skillshare because I'm going to focus on the class project and make sure I only mention things that are outside of this course or outside of Skillshare in those two videos. Another way you can make money as a Skillshare teacher is from referrals. So if you're referring your class to someone, you want to use your referral link and you'll get paid 60% of whatever fee that subscription is. So if they pay for a month membership, you'll get 60% of that 1 month. And if they pay for a year at the beginning, you'll get 60% of that yearly membership. You used to get about $20 for everyone you referred, even if they'd never set up or paid. So that ended up for me being a little bit more lucrative than this one. But also over the last year or two, I haven't really been sharing my Skillshare referral and links as much. Some of that is like self-fulfilling prophecy because I'm not sharing it as much because I wouldn't get paid as much for sharing it. And therefore I'm not sharing it more and therefore I'm not getting paid as much. So lots of things to consider here. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad use of your time. I personally have not devoted 100% of myself into growing my Skillshare in the way that you see some other people do. And so I haven't been quite as successful as they're going to be. So it's kind of that self-fulfilling prophecy over again. Whatever you're going to really devote your attention to is going to pay back to you in spades. And I think there's a lot of opportunity here on Skillshare, but I just want to be honest with you about what that looks like and how you kind of can make a little money just throwing some courses up here, but it's not going to be as much as you could if you really devoted a lot of energy and time to it. So how much money have I actually earned? So this is in all time. I've earned about $5,000 from Skillshare. I have 2,400 total students. So that basically means I'm earning about $2 per student. I'm not saying that's the number that you can really use to calculate in the future because it's going to depend on a lot at this point if they're paying students or not paying students. And a lot of my students were not paying students from back when we could get paid for that. So I've earned about $2 per student. To me, I would need that number to be a little bit higher to make this something that I was really investing a lot into, but I also would get higher if I was investing a lot into it. Total number of minutes watched is 64,000 almost, and then I have 50 reviews. So my classes have done fairly well. It's not to say that they haven't, but you know, for 877 minutes watched, which seems like kind of a lot, I am getting $10 to $30 as my Skillshare payment. So out of that $950,000, I'm getting $10 to $30 of it. And then I'll show you the referral stats. So earnings history, total has been about $1,500. That means about $3,500 I've earned in watch minutes and about $1,500 I've earned in referrals. So we can break it down also into the referrals and the teacher fund. So I've earned about $3,400 from the minutes watched and about $1,500 from referrals. And you'll see, so I got a $99 in referrals in August of 2022. You can see when we get back to March of 2022, that's when they stopped that payment. I was getting like $20, $10, $40, $70, even up to like $300 a month in those referrals. So you can see that that was making me a lot more money at that time. And then kind of after they changed the referral program, I've really only made one paying referral. And again, I haven't been sharing my referrals as much, so I don't want to say that it's absolutely impossible and that I never could have gotten anyone to pay for a Skillshare, but I've been investing my time elsewhere, and I wanted to give you a real picture of what this looks like. So some best practices, I would definitely read all of their information and their teaching policies. They have these class quality guidelines and content restrictions that are really important to them, and they're going to review every single class. So if you say you're releasing class on a certain day, make sure it fits all of those guidelines. Make sure you haven't put your logo in the main cover image. Make sure you haven't talked about anything outside of Skillshare elsewise. Make sure you have your class project in there. They have a really good class planning template that helps you get your first class up, and they have a lot of information on equipment and things like that. So they're going to give you just a lot of information and help, and they're really responsive to questions as well, and they make it really easy. I think Skillshare is a great place to dip your toe into teaching. So if you want to teach kind of these class project style courses, like if whatever you're teaching ends in something specific, like a dog portrait, a frame, a specific project, I think that's going to be really ideal for Skillshare, and that's what people are coming to Skillshare for. You can do a lot of research just by searching on Skillshare, like browsing some of their popular courses. These are some of the main topics that they cover, and I would say even if you think that joining a different topic is going to make your class stand out, it's not something that people are expecting to find on Skillshare. So I would stick to at least generally these different categories, because those are the things that people are trying to learn here on Skillshare. And although you may have something really great in a totally different field, people are not expecting to find that field information here. The best practice they always use is releasing a new class once a month. I think this is a really wonderful option. And then using your network to kind of draw people in. You can use those referral codes, as you can see, very easy right here, to use that referral code to get people to join Skillshare. It's going to come with a little bit of a free trial, and then if you hook them, they might join up for Skillshare, and then you'll get credit for 60% of their subscription fee. Lastly, a really great thing is to promote engagement. So in your courses and in your communities, you can ask for reviews really heavily. You can offer feedback to the comments that are on your courses. You can make sure you're just really active presence on all of your courses, and that's going to encourage that engagement, which Skillshare really rewards. They sometimes offer competitions and things like if you get a new 5-star review, you get a certain bonus, or if you get a certain number of students in a period of time, you'll get a bonus as well. So paying attention to those is a great way to capitalize on a little extra revenue. And then you can grab followers and followings, and you can do things such as create discussions or share your own projects, speak to your community by sending them messages. So all of these things that you can do to encourage people to engage more with your courses here on Skillshare. So of course, I'm going to send my referral link to you. You'll get that free trial, and you can watch any of these courses for free. If you do end up paying for a subscription, I will get paid, as you saw. But I hope this was helpful in giving you some information about what it's really like to be a Skillshare teacher and what the earnings can potentially look like for you. I think that my earnings are not typical of, like, I would say mine are probably mid-level, probably average on the platform, because I've put up 4 classes. I'm not putting one up every month, of course. I'm not putting so much effort into it. And I am making a little bit of money every once in a while, but it's not something that's been a really huge revenue driver for me personally. So I hope that if you're interested in doing this, you can kind of consider what it's going to take to make it a big revenue driver for you and decide if that's the right opportunity for you as a teacher. Let me know what questions you have about being a teacher on Skillshare, and I hope you'll check out some of my classes if any of this interests you. Thanks, everyone.